everybody, welcome back to the Bill and Ray Show. Thank you for joining us for another adventure in marble making. Today, the word of the day is dots. I'm going to do a bunch of dots. But first, I'm going to do some internal stuff just so it's not just dots. Let's fire up the torch and I'm going to jump right to the large rod here. We got our fresh cut end we need to clean up. So this marble is going to be kind of focused on two different aspects. One is kind of a technique I've done to get some internal petals, veins, waves, whatever, effects of fuming. And sometimes that's pretty much all I focus on. I was going to do this one just focusing on dots, and then I thought, well, no, I should do something inside the middle. So I kind of like that focused central element and then the background. So, last minute decision. Decided just do kind of one of my basic things that I have done many marbles like this. But the trick here is going to be getting some silver fume effects that are visible, evident, but not overwhelming. So that the background is not obscured. And we'll see. But that's kind of a balancing act to get. If you don't put enough silver down, you go through all these steps and you get nothing, basically. So it's helpful to have enough silver to show up without being too much. So we start out making a tapered polypop. You can see that it's not a flat. I'm going to taper it out. So I'm going to just thin polish out those chill marks. And we're going to put some silver on here. So, is that the right amount of silver yet? I think that should do some effects. Hopefully it's not too strong. So now to trap that silver, I'm not going to get too crazy here. I'm just going to do some lines. They're clear. I do patterns in usually more of a spiraling kind of lines or dots. But for today, I'll do just vertical lines. Heat that in. the other handle ready here. Looks like this needs to be cleaned up a little. Now this next step is going to be kind of twisting this up. Actually, we'll squish it one more time. And at this point, I think I'm going to focus on trying to burn out some excess fume. Yeah, we're going to have to kind of reshape this. So I want to try and start out with that same shape we first had. So bring this back a bit. Okay. Just gonna attach a handle. I'm going to kind of focus on the thick end to start with. And I start twisting. I actually want to twist enough to get a fold going. Will give us some interior interest. So from here I want to get to a starting conical form that I'm going to start adding dots onto. So we're going to let this mass kind of cool down a little bit so we can get this shape cleaned up. Using a smaller flame to get some control over the shaping. And get a controlled shape to start with. Alright. I'm not going to worry too much about that tip. We'll pull that out at some point here. I think I'll just go into doing the dots first. And we are going to have at least two runs. And what I'm hoping for is to do 3 runs of one color and then fill in the fumos and see where we're at that point. So we're going to start near the tip. And we have to kind of visualize the 3-way split. So we start out hoping to have more or less equal spaced and then we're going to kind of squish these down. Okay, so we're going to alternate between orange and a blue spruce, which is just a real pretty dense blue, but it's a nice rich color. And instead of coming straight out, we're going to come off at an angle. We're trying to kind of focus our dot on the edge of the previous dot. Ouch, it's getting quite hot. Well, we survived a red flag night last evening. Around here didn't get too crazy, but north of us in Missoula up on the hills, apparently they saw wind speeds almost well over 100 miles an hour. A bunch of people are out of power this morning, but our power flickered a whole bunch, but we still had power. And today they're out chasing down new fire starts. So we come in again, focused on the edge. And off at an angle. when we're pressing these in, we can try and make a little adjustment. If it needs to kind of push one way or the other. Back and forth we go. Dot, dot, dot. So dots, lines and dots are kind of very fundamental features of glasswork. I used to use dots, and probably dominantly dots in bead making back in the day with soft glass. The bead making is kind of, well, it's a process of building from the base to the top. In the vortex marble, it's really kind of the reverse. You've got the first things we put down are going to appear in the top, if you will, inside the marble. So it takes a lot of visualizing. So, for instance, in beads, I was accustomed to putting a transparent color on top of an opaque color and layering things that way. Excuse me, it's smoky. Alright, got the colorful marble mug. Yeah, we had kind of a break in the weather pattern. With the latest round of thunderstorms rolling through. And finally, we're going to get some colder evenings we'll see. Forecast low tonight is 48 degrees. That's pretty dang cold from a 95-degree daytime. So these aren't like perfectly arranged exactly, three-part configuration, but it'll work. So that's our last run of dots on this color combo. Now, I had a concept of doing a series of increasing the dot size, and I kind of decided that may be a little more involved, a little trickier than what I want to do right now today. So we are going to come back in those areas that don't have dots and do more dots with a different color combination. Set those aside. And these may or may not overlap some of the other work. I'll start out filling in this gap. Yeah, it seems like life has just been moving a mile a minute. We've got some family in Washington that they're pretty close to a big fire outside of Yakima. They were evacuated and supposedly have a fire crew at the house protecting it. So we're wishing them the very best to get out of this without losing their home. They're evacuated. They got their dogs and an elderly neighbor out the other day. And this right on top of, that's my daughter's grandmother, actually, who passed away just the other day, which was not unexpected. But it just is another event. Things are just lots happening. So I'm wishing you all the very best and hope you're safe and your family as well. Or at least your family is supporting one another. It always kind of is a curious thing. I have mentioned this before, but my wife Ray, her parents are still alive and with us, living in Bozeman. And my mother passed 10 years ago. And my father passed coming up 40 years ago. Ray and I are basically the same age. I'm just 6 months older. Well, 6 months, not even that. Or, anyway, forget the math. 6 months apart. Close enough. So the funny twists and turns of life. Looks like some bizarre candy cane right now. So this marble is just kind of demonstrating how simple, relatively simple additions of color can create an interesting pattern. And of course then it's many different choices of colors and what pattern you lay them down in. When I visualize these kind of things, I always think I'm going to have room to do other things, but there's not a lot of room left here, so we're going to at this point kind of heat this all in and get this pattern established. I don't know, for some reason it looks like candy to me. before we get this completely sealed down, let's see if I can add some more dots of a different color. These aren't going to translate to appearing as dots of a finished piece necessarily, but you may be able to see this. I lost my place. Alright, well, what that was worth. Now, some people really get into their precision dots and would do a much more detailed, fancy approach to this. And of course, the other, even more detailed approach would be to do this pattern on a hollow piece and condense it into a solid marble interior. Some of those are skills I haven't really developed, so I'm not going to even attempt to show anybody how to do that. I'm just going to stick to what I feel I can offer to show people. Now, like I said, I was kind of leaving this end alone, but this is our opportunity here to grab a hold of it. Alright. Well, of course, the colors when they're hot, and I can't really tell what's going on inside there. And I've got some really dark cobalt, and I'm going to see if I can do kind of a backing where I did these dots. And that's going to complete the background here. Kind of right around the circumference of the pass. This is another one of these where I'm not trying to torque any of this, just trying to set it down. With the marble. I think these colors are relatively opaque, and that will pretty well seal off the inside from the outside. Now we can move on to filling out the back bulk of glass that creates the back hemisphere. Before we start into that, we'll throw on some silver. An extreme amount of silver there. Okay, that leaves all these pieces and parts done their job. So we have commercial beehives out in the field. Got a good sized field between my house and my sister that lives next door. And they set out, I don't know, a bunch of hives out there. And then we get paid in honey to put up with their bees driving us crazy, which they don't really drive us crazy. But we try and cater to them, and especially in the hot weather. We've got water sources, all kinds of places for the bees to get into and bring water back to the hive. But yesterday we were out on our walk on our driveway and ran into the truck, the bees, the guys that come out to service and take care of the beehives during the season. And we didn't really get a chance to chat with them very much, and he was like, well, here comes my boss. So this other truck was coming down the way, and I didn't realize he was out there, but the owner of the business was out checking on things. Well, we just had a wonderful visit with him. He knew my mother years back, and when he would come around to drop off honey at the end of the season, he said that he would make sure he scheduled his rounds to visit my mother last, because he just really enjoyed, he knew they would get into a good discussion, and he just really enjoyed visiting with my mom. And yeah, that just meant the world to me. That was just really sweet. But my mother, she loved to visit with people, and she kept her marbles all the way to the end, and a lot of people thought she was a pretty neat lady. Even in hospice, the nurses in there thought she was pretty cool. Gosh, 32 years ago when she bought this property, there was already a deal with the prior owner to have commercial hives up on the property. But over the years, things changed. We couldn't keep the bees in the same location, so we told them, it's like, well, we don't mind if you bring them down here. And they've been concerned all along as to how that's working out for us, if we feel like we're too close to the hives. But we're like, no, we get along pretty good with them. So I think they truly appreciate having landowners that are willing to have the hives on the property and actually actively try and help take care of them. We mow down the field around the hives and make sure there's plenty of water available. Especially now we're into full-on fire season. One of the main reasons that I mow the open areas and water and mow around the yard is to cut down on the fire danger. So yesterday was a day of pushing a lot of water all around the yard. Which reminds me, I've got some water running still out there that I should have shut off a while ago, but it's okay. Yeah, getting a little A little bit drippy out here now. I had the window air conditioner running for a little while this morning to try and cool down the shop. It's starting to warm up. Last couple of days I've been out here, and even with the air conditioner on, about 2 o'clock I had enough heat. Okay, see if we can form up this back side. Okay, I'm kind of switch around to starting to kind of get this front lens started a little bit anyway. Of course, it's trying to build up right at the connection point, so it gets all wiggly wobbly. When I was contemplating this design, I was concerned that this build-out might make this marble larger than I want it, and as it stands right now, it's kind of smaller than I thought it would be, but that's alright. It's pretty good size. Alright, backing color. We have black and a light mist greenish color, and hyacinth with kind of a deep navy blue. Alright, come along on a break line. And go for this mist color. Pulling out the stringer, I noted that this color had some small bubbles going on. Let's see if they will self-correct. Sometimes just going through the heat cycle of applying it and melting it in, they'll either pop or recondense back into the glass. There are the color lines. Whew. Guess I should have put ice cubes in my mug. Yeah, it already seems like a lot of those bubbles seem to have just gone away. Sometimes glass outgasses and then reabsorbs. Or they boil off. Alright, these are cooked in pretty good. I'm going to wait a minute. I definitely got the silver effects in there, and I just hope they aren't too strong or distracting, but I think we're looking pretty good. Okay. Oop. I lost my footing there. I'm being a little gun shy about the heat. That is throwing off some serious hot vibes. Woo! Hot, hot. Okay. You see some busy spots? See if we can just get this to settle down. Okay, plenty up. Things got a little out of control there. That's all right. So Lost is back on Netflix, and I started watching it a few weeks ago when Ray was out of town, and since she's been back, we just picked up where I was at, and even though I've seen the series several times, it just always amazes me. There's so much goes on in that show. Always these scenes that come up that, oh, that's right. It's like, I remember this part. But I couldn't tell you what happens next, most of the time. But that's just me. I don't really have a head for plots and storylines of shows that I've seen. For some reason I just don't focus or retain on what shows are all about from episode to episode. And of course, we can binge watch in the evening after having dinner and a glass of wine or a beer or something, and there's always those moments we kind of doze off and skip a bit. But it's just a great series and incredible amount of storyline. And of course, it has all these social and societal explorations that are very relevant. So I start skimming off, cleaning up that edge, but also skimming off some of the distressed glass on the surface. And I make a big mess of all this peeled off glass. Tried to get out here for an early start this morning, although it wasn't really super cool down this morning when we got out. It took me a while to get set up and settled down as to what glass I was going to use and what pattern I was going to do. And I even did a little practice thing with some dots, sort of make sure I had the right idea going on. Okay. I'll do that part. Yeah, try and bump this up. Some asbestos fingers here. The heat of the flame and the heat of the radiant glass temperature, it starts warming up all the surfaces and tools around. Get to slowly a buildup of all kinds of hot going on. Alright, let's see how the backside behaves. Tangled up here. Well, we're getting there. Sure appreciate anybody that's watching these videos and hope you learn something about how these marbles are made, and some people are picking up some specific ideas or skills that they're hoping to work on themselves, and that's awesome. Some people are just fascinated by the process, and I have my own reasons for recording these, so I know exactly what I did to build these things, because through the years I made so many marbles, and I look back at pictures and stuff and think, man, I wonder how I did that. Or what color did it, it's more often it's like, what color did I use to make that? So the first go in the marble mold, at this stage we're just kind of staying level. Try and get this back end to melt in on its own. And this gets started. So the next phase I can transition all the way to the shaping the full back end. So when it gets all kind of out of control, I'm going to try and drop this in gently from the back side. Start spinning and come all the way up. And then use a little bit of pressure. And get that marble to conform. And that did a lot of it. Switch here, get another sip. And that, I think, completes the shaping pretty good on the back side. So now we're going to lose some heat. Get that core to drop down in temperature. We've got some great depth. We've got a little view right down the center. I don't know how cool the colors turn out until tomorrow, but I think it should be pretty nice. So this run we're just going to try and do a bit of flame polish on the back. Call that good. Oh boy. Now it takes a little patience. You really should wait a moment. Keep rotating. So you don't want to lose all that you just gained through those last few steps. You got to let that cool down until it's good and solid. And then we come in with our last punty. This is where you get sort of a transfer of authority. Now my right hand is controlling. My left side is getting wobbly. Now we want to get rid of any foreign glass on this front lens. And try and get sort of out a little bit in the fire to bring that little nub of glass back, melt it back in without boiling it or messing it up. As it heats up, you can bring it in and get more heat on there. So then I'm looking to see if there's any evidence of different colors in that clear glass on the front, which would indicate still some different glass from the punty. It looks pretty clean. So we'll go with that. Now we want to get the surface heated up. Go into the marble mold and see if we can do a rough shaping of that front lens. So again, come back on the back side, come up to the top, and go back and forth. And I'm looking at the edge of the marble mold to see that it's filled out. So in other words, if there was not enough glass on the front, you would see it's not touching the marble mold on the tip. And it left some wrinkles, as you expect. But that's what the flame is for, get rid of those wrinkles. One little there's actually a little bubble there. I don't want to spend too much time messing with that. So I've got the whole shape down the way I want it. I think we are done with this marble. Well, not quite done, but just need to get it off the punty and heal up that little punty mark. So this went pretty good. Pleased with the way this came together. And I'm super pleased to have you all out there watching these and giving some thumbs up, some likes and subscribes and comments. I'm stuck to my chair. Ideally, you'd wait until you don't see it really glowing a whole lot in the shade. Got a lot of lights on here though, so it's hard to see. And I hesitate to look at it under the bench because if it fell off the punty at that point, that would really suck. Okay, and we'll get to the marble mold and we'll get that joint connection cold, snap that off. To get that color too aggressively heated. Okay, super duper. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Always curious to see what is this going to look like tomorrow out of the kiln. But for now, she needs to go through a bit of a cycle here. And I need to get out of the heat and take a break. So everybody enjoy the rest of their day, whatever they're up to. And we really wish the best for all of you out there. Let's all take care of each other and give yourself your own self-care. Take the time, be kind to yourself, be good to everyone around you. And we will see you all next time. Take care.